The National Electrical Code, or NEC, does not provide a specific recommended separation distance between different voltage classes within ductbanks. However, the code does stipulate that conductors belonging to different systems must be separated by a physical barrier. This barrier can take the form of a partition or a sleeve, and its primary purpose is to prevent accidental contact between conductors operating at different voltage levels. While the NEC doesn't offer a hard and fast rule for separation distances, a common industry practice suggests maintaining a minimum separation of 6 inches between conductors of different voltage classes. It's important to understand that this 6-inch guideline isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. The appropriate separation distance can vary based on a number of factors. These include the size and type of conductors being used, the specific design and type of ductbank employed, and the environmental conditions in which the ductbank is installed. For instance, if the ductbank is located in a wet or corrosive environment, a separation distance greater than 6 inches may be necessary. This increased distance helps to prevent moisture or corrosive elements from bridging the gap between conductors and causing electrical faults. Similarly, if the ductbank is situated in an area with heavy traffic or a high risk of accidental impact, a larger separation distance can provide additional protection against physical damage to the conductors. Now let's delve deeper into the factors that influence the determination of the appropriate separation distance. Firstly, consider the size and type of conductors. Larger conductors, especially those carrying higher currents, may generate more heat. A greater separation distance can help to dissipate this heat and prevent overheating, which can degrade the insulation and lead to electrical failures. Different types of conductors also have varying insulation properties. Some insulation materials are more resistant to environmental factors like moisture and chemicals than others. If conductors with less robust insulation are used, a larger separation distance may be warranted. Secondly, the design and type of ductbank play a significant role. Ductbanks can be constructed from various materials, such as concrete, PVC, or fiberglass. The thermal conductivity and physical properties of these materials can affect the heat dissipation and overall protection of the conductors. Some ductbank designs incorporate built-in barriers or dividers to physically separate conductors. In these cases, the separation distance may be less critical, as the barrier provides an additional layer of protection. Thirdly, environmental conditions are a crucial consideration. As mentioned earlier, wet or corrosive environments can accelerate the degradation of conductor insulation and increase the risk of electrical faults. High-temperature environments can also exacerbate heat buildup in conductors. In these situations, a greater separation distance along with appropriate insulation and corrosion protection measures is essential. Furthermore, the presence of electromagnetic interference, or ME, should be taken into account. Conductors carrying high-frequency signals or power can radiate electromagnetic fields that may interfere with sensitive electronic equipment. A greater separation distance can help to reduce EMI and ensure the proper functioning of nearby devices. To illustrate these concepts with examples, consider a scenario where a ductbank is installed in an industrial facility with a high concentration of corrosive chemicals. In this case, it would be prudent to increase the separation distance between conductors of different voltage classes to at least 12 inches or more. Additionally, the conductors should be specifically chosen to be corrosion resistant, and the ductbank should be sealed to prevent the ingress of corrosive substances. In contrast, if a ductbank is installed in a clean, dry, and climate-controlled environment, a separation distance of 6 inches may be sufficient, provided that the conductors are properly insulated and the ductbank is well maintained. Another important consideration is the potential for future expansion or modification of the electrical system. If there is a possibility that additional conductors will be added to the ductbank in the future, it's wise to plan for this by providing ample space between existing conductors. This will make it easier to install new conductors without disrupting the existing system or compromising safety. In addition to the separation distance, it's also crucial to ensure that all conductors are properly supported and secured within the ductbank. This prevents the conductors from sagging, rubbing against each other, or coming into contact with the ductbank walls. Proper support also reduces the risk of damage to the conductors during installation and maintenance. When working with ductbanks and conductors of different voltage classes, it's always advisable to consult with a qualified electrical engineer. An engineer can assess the specific site conditions, design the ductbank to meet the applicable codes and standards, and recommend the appropriate separation distances and other protective measures. They can also perform calculations to ensure that the conductors are adequately sized for the intended load and that the voltage drop is within acceptable limits. Moreover, local electrical codes and regulations may have specific requirements for ductbank installations. It's essential to be familiar with these requirements and to ensure that the ductbank design and installation comply with them. Failure to comply with local codes can result in fines, delays, and potential safety hazards. To summarize, while the NEC doesn't specify an exact separation distance between different voltage classes in ductbanks, it mandates the use of physical barriers. A general guideline of 6 inches is often followed, but the actual distance should be determined based on factors such as conductor size and type, ductbank design, environmental conditions, and potential for future expansion. Consulting with a qualified electrical engineer and complying with local codes are essential for ensuring a safe and reliable ductbank installation. Remember that the primary goal is to prevent accidental contact between conductors of different voltage classes and to minimize the risk of electrical faults, fires, and other hazards. By carefully considering all of the relevant factors and implementing appropriate protective measures, you can create a ductbank system that provides years of trouble-free service. Furthermore, it's important to document the ductbank design and installation details. This documentation should include drawings, specifications, and test results. This information can be invaluable for future maintenance, troubleshooting, and modifications. It's also a good practice to periodically inspect the ductbank to identify any signs of damage, corrosion, or deterioration. Any issues should be addressed promptly to prevent them from escalating and compromising the safety or reliability of the system. In addition to the physical separation of conductors, it's also crucial to implement proper grounding and bonding practices. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to trip circuit breakers and protect equipment from damage. Bonding ensures that all metallic parts of the electrical system are at the same potential, which reduces the risk of electric shock. The NEC contains detailed requirements for grounding and bonding, and it's essential to follow these requirements carefully. Another aspect to consider is the use of surge protection devices, or SPDs. SPD protect electrical equipment from transient voltage surges, which can be caused by lightning strikes, switching operations, or other events. Surges can damage sensitive electronic equipment and cause disruptions to the electrical system. SPD should be installed at the service entrance and at other critical locations throughout the electrical system. Proper labeling of conductors and ductbanks is also important. Conductors should be clearly labeled with their voltage, phase, and circuit number. Ductbanks should be labeled to indicate the voltage classes and systems that they contain. Clear labeling helps to prevent confusion and errors during maintenance and troubleshooting. Finally, it's essential to provide adequate training to personnel who will be working on or near ductbanks. Training should cover the hazards associated with working with electricity, the proper procedures for installing and maintaining ductbanks, and the use of personal protective equipment, or PPE. Qualified personnel are essential for ensuring the safe and reliable operation of the electrical system. In conclusion, while the NEC doesn't prescribe a specific separation distance for conductors of different voltage classes in ductbanks, it emphasizes the importance of physical barriers and proper design considerations. By following industry best practices, consulting with qualified professionals, and adhering to local codes, you can create a safe and reliable ductbank system that meets the needs of your facility. Remember that electrical safety is paramount, and it's always better to err on the side of caution.